day one of the combine. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. How many energy drinks have you had so far?
I'm a few in, right?
You've been supportive of Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
He's in year number 3. And I know you talk about, some of the off-season stuff has been frustrating. Has he tested your patience at all?
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast. I am Jenna Cottrell, Mike Catalana, and Dan Fates out in Indy. It was a very big day. We heard from Brandon Beane as well as Joe Brady. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Mike and Dan also having one-on-one interviews with Brady as well as Brandon Beane. Dan asking Brady about his relationship with Josh Allen, comments on Keon Coleman, a busy day out in Indy. But guys, I want to talk to you. Big day. And this really today kicked off the combine in Indy.
Yeah, the first day is coaches and general managers from all over the league. Not everyone talks. I would say the Bills, it was always that way with Beane and McDermott, and now it's Beane and Brady. They speak at the podium. How would you describe the podium interviews, Dan?
It is not like when they're back in Buffalo.
You mean because virtually no one in Buffalo asked a question?
Yes, because while we're here, and we have always said that it's the center of the entire NFL world, shows up here in Indianapolis, they were asked about Georgia football and LSU and coaches that they did not hire, Grant Udinski and Brian Dable and all of those kind of things. So it was the car wash, as we call it in the industry, as Brandon Beane not only spoke to us, but then he talked to Sirius XM Radio and NBC Sports and CBS Sports and Yahoo, I'm sure, as they are right behind us. Because I do think we're still on Radio Row, and we're still here at Podcast Row.
And this is Buffalo Plus Boulevard.
Right.
By the way, Jenna, I don't know if you know this, but Yahoo spelled backwards says Buffalo Plus. Did you know that?
The more you know.
And we have made friends with our neighbors.
Yes.
Because earlier today, we're getting set up, and they're ironing their very nice backdrop. And we made a comment of, if you guys want to make one for us or, steam our coats, like, we'd really appreciate it. And then, of course,
Colin
comes over, peeks his head around the corner. Nice guy.
He works for Yahoo.
And he goes, oh my gosh, my brother was saying he was listening to this Bills podcast, and he said they were right next to the Yahoo Sports setup. Is that you? So shout out to Quinn.
Well, his brother is a Bills fan,
yes,
and knows us.
That's
Small
pretty cool.
world. And
That's
so we're
pretty
neighbors.
Cool.
We've made nice with our neighbors. There are a lot of really nice setups here.
How would you rank ours?
We're that house on the street that needs to cut their lawn. We didn't bring the setup. Next year, this was a trial. This was a great play by Mike. This is great. We have our
hats.
We've had hats. That's our setup. That marks our territory. We have had interviews that we will have coming up. We have spoke to Zach Berman from The Athletic about A.J. Brown.
That was really good.
Really good. We talked to Sam Monson.
Really good.
On the national narratives of this. So again, we are gathering content, and we are bringing them to this luxury table and booth with a tablecloth around it. So yeah, today really kind of kicked it all off, Jenna.
I'm not shocked that we could work on the what is it, the pride of ownership? That's like when you go to a neighborhood and everyone pitches in. Yeah, we'll know for next year, guys.
Yeah, in this case, when people walk by, you can see a little. They get a little
they're full pot. Some of their booths and tables look like the Buffalo Connors and Ferris podcast studio. They look really nice.
That's cool.
And we just look like we're cousin Eddie, and pulls up in National Lampoons with the RV. That's a little bit. Hey, we're starting. This is still a way better setup than kind of the chaos that's here. This is kind of a nice little backdrop for us. So yesterday we did it standing up. We're sitting down today. I have a blister on my foot. A lot of walking.
Oh, poor Dan.
I don't feel bad for you. Let's get into it though. It's a crazy day, but why don't you kind of set up what it is like there and just kind of what the setup is and kind of what goes into it?
it's very interesting to see because we're in the room, like we mentioned, where it's all the podcasts and the radio stations and everybody. And then on the other side is the people Dan was mentioning, Sirius Radio. Then you have
ESPN
and
CBS, NFL Network.
Right, all of them over there. And they're set up to get people like Brandon Beane and Joe Brady, and they'll get individual interviews over there. And then there's the podium setup. Today was the coaches and the general managers. They step up, they do 15 minutes, and then the next one comes up after that. So you'll see the media from all the teams around the podium, and then it's the same scene. Everybody sort of follows the coach or follows the GM, and then they get a little like area where we call it a scrum, where there's a bunch of people around it, and then you see individual interviews, and then eventually you see them come into here. So we sort of know the way it goes. I will say the Bills are pretty good about getting them to us. We got to do those individual interviews, which was fun today.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that so they go up to the podium, Jenna, obviously, and then it's everybody can, like, we could have sat in on the Titans general manager and asked him a question about, hey, do you think you're going to trade Travion Sweat?
Tavondre Sweat.
There it is. The guy that I said that they're going to trade to the Bills. I could have asked him that question. Yes. So all of those kind of things happen. And then obviously we get more time with Beane and Brady.
Yeah. Do we want to get into your one-on-one interviews? Because I think you guys, I know it's obviously a big deal to have that time to be there and get those types of interviews. And I know a lot of people have heard what Brandon Beane and Joe Brady had to say at the podium, but obviously you guys have exclusive stuff there.
Yeah. Well, let's start with this. It's a lot for me to give up one of those interviews. So Dan and I dressed identical today.
So I realized that yesterday when we both wore the Buffalo Plus hoodie.
I thought you did that on purpose.
So I brought 2 sport coats. It was 1 sport coat too many because this is a much more laid back, but we figured when we were doing the one-on-one interviews.
Oh, yeah.
And I think last year I even mentioned it, that I said I wanted to do one of the one-on-ones. And you said, we'll see.
Yeah.
And
so today was the day. So go ahead into it with Joe Brady.
Yeah, we wanted to, with our one-on-one opportunities, try and have a theme or try and get to in depth on one point. Sometimes you can be asking all the different types of questions. Kind of wanted to stick with one theme. So here's my interview with Bills head coach Joe Brady. Joe, at your introductory press conference, you talked a lot about your relationship with players. Specifically, I want to know about Josh Allen. Do you ever get mad at him? Does he ever get mad at you? And how does that all work out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you have a relationship with someone, right, like there's going to be a lot of good. And don't get me wrong, he makes me look a lot better, than the other way around. But yeah, no, there's definitely frustration at time, right? He's not perfect. There's frustration at me at play calls, like that's part of it. But part of having a relationship is knowing that there is good and there is bad. But there can be honest transparency with it.
He's one of the best trash talkers in the league. You've said before, now that you're the head coach in practice, are you excited to give it back to him when you're rooting for the defense?
Absolutely. Look, I don't ever. I know I said it. I don't ever want him to throw an interception. It's still going to be when I get mad. I get mad at every interception, every fumble, but I'm not the offensive coordinator anymore, right? And so when those happen, it is going to be opportunities to, hey, let's put the ball down and see what the next one, but I get to celebrate with the D and roll from there.
When you came to Buffalo in 2022, you were Josh Allen's quarterbacks coach.
Yep.
Then you became his offensive coordinator. Now you're his head coach. Could you ever imagine that when you arrived in Buffalo?
No, not at all. I mean, I didn't think it was a possibility, nor did I want it, right? I didn't want it to be a possibility, right? And but it's when the opportunity came up, this isn't in both situations. It's nothing else I wanted, right? And so I'm grateful to be here.
Day one of the combine. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. How many energy drinks have you had so far?
I'm a few in, right? I'm a few fast twitches in. I got some tea. Yeah, we got a long night ahead, right? So there'll be a lot more still to go.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.
I appreciate you.
The only other question I wish I would have asked him was about his apparel on game days. I don't think anybody's really asked him, Jenna, about the shorts and T-shirt. It's the same black look that he walks in every single game day, no matter what the weather. But really, you get about 90 seconds to talk to them because there are other media outlets, local outlets that come here. So you get about 2 minutes max. But I thought it was nice to hear that they were honest about that Brady was honest about his relationship with Josh, and that we don't get along all the time, and we work through it, and that's what I kind of expected. I didn't know if that's what I would get. I knew that that's the circumstance, Jenna, because they're competitors, and it's the NFL. It's not like some cushy office job. Like, you're having disagreements about the play call. Like, Joe's like, yeah, he gets mad at me about some play calls. I get mad at him about some of the throws he makes. I like to hear that because Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels had screaming matches, Peyton Manning, and players on the sidelines. And we don't see that side of Josh, especially in front of the cameras.
Yeah, I think that to me is so important because that shows to me that they actually have a relationship. Like if you were to say, "No, we get along great." It's like, "Well, that's not real and you can't be authentically honest about how you're feeling because it's unrealistic to think that these two in a high stakes, high pressure environment would see eye to eye on absolutely everything." So having that knowledge of like, yeah, we don't always get along. I think that's valuable because it's like, okay, so they've obviously had to already work through conflict and they have the rapport that they do. But I thought it was nice to know like it's not always rainbow and sunshine, and that's a part of it. So how you work through that matters, and it seems like they've been able to do that. But I thought it was nice to have the honesty of like, yeah, sometimes it's not always perfect because that's real and that matters.
You know what I find interesting, though, Jenna, going forward on that is he's had that relationship with him as offensive coordinator, well, and quarterback's coach and quarterback. Now it is a little different. Quite honestly, he's going to have less individual time with Josh Allen, and that's going to make the relationship a little different, I think. I mean, let's be honest. What he was worried about for a while was just Josh Allen, and then it was just Josh Allen in the offense.
Yeah.
Now he's got a whole team to worry about. So those moments are going to be different for their relationship.
Well, I was also thinking about the fact that when it's Josh and Joe, like you said, it's just the offense. So when Sean McDermott says we're going to punt on 4th and 2, he can go back to Joe and be like, I can't believe he punted. I can't believe they punted that spot. Now it's Joe Brady that's going to decide whether to punt or go for it on 4th down. And that's where the dynamic changes.
Jenna, am I the only one that's making too big of a deal of the fact that Joe's on the field calling the plays and he's dealing with the chaos of the field?
No,
I think that's just so different.
That is tremendously different. And I'm very curious to see how that will work because up in the booth, like Dan, you mentioned the shorts earlier. I'm like, yeah, the shorts was a cute look because he would take laps around the field and then go up to the nice heated, cushy box up above when, it started snowing out and raining and, you're out on the field for 4 hours. Yeah, it changes the dynamic of how you see the field. And you're right. Like, Mike, you're in the middle of literally everything. You're making all of these split decisions and you're doing it from a different vantage point than you have been in the last couple of seasons. That definitely changes how things will look, but also I'm curious how it will feel for him because it is a different environment when there's already so much more on his shoulders now. That's definitely something that I think is interesting.
Yeah, and when you're the quarterback's coach or you're the offensive coordinator, you can go on the sidelines, go stand over there and talk to him. We've seen that happen, right? When he's out there. And it's not, you can't do that as head coach. It's a quick moment over there with your quarterback and because you're coaching the entire team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's very true.
His job as the head coach.
Yeah, but he has he's used to just one side of the ball. He's an offensive head coach. If you were to ask him, are you a defensive or an offensive head coach, he would.
By the way, Jenna, I'm going to ask you about this. You said it was a cute look. Is that what you said?
No, I'm saying it's like it's cute. Like it's not actually cute, but like
it's
how we talk about like too cute.
Yeah.
Sometimes to me it was a little too cute. Joe Brady walking around the field in shorts because he talked about dog mentality. But it's easy to wear shorts when you're only outside for like 40 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Are you saying cute like a Dawson Knox jet sweep cute? Like is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like that's what I'm kind of talking about.
Right.
Like I'm like it's a bit and I get that, but it's easy to do a bit when you only have to be outside for, like I said, like 40 minutes.
What do you got?
Once it's like 40, 4 hours, it's different.
Yeah, Jenna, like when we're on the field for 4 hours and somebody's in that cushy box.
Well, it's not too bad out here. It's like, you don't even know the half of it.
You don't even know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I think that dynamic changes too with Brady. And he talked about a little bit at the podium about he's not going to change who he is. And I think there is that difference. And I go back to remembering when Bobby Babich made the decision that he said he's too intense on the sidelines and that's why he would have to go in the booth. And now you're getting Joe Brady, who was on the sidelines with Josh Allen as the quarterback's coach, went up to the booth to call plays, and now he's going to be back down on the field, and he's going to be able to have that relationship to some respects. Again, I understand he's the head coach of the team and has to also check in on defense, but he will, I guess, sometimes I think about the mannerisms that change. Jenna, to your point, like it's different being on the sidelines in that chaos. We've been on the sidelines there. Like, all the things that we've seen, all the craziness that goes on there. Yeah. Brady's now going to be in it. He can't isolate himself upstairs.
Yeah, you're going to have to make so many decisions in an environment where it's constantly changing. And I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm just saying that is different than what he has been before. Before when the defense is on the field, he can kind of regroup and talk things through. Whereas now it's like, okay, what are we doing here? What are you doing there? And I know Jim Leonhard is the defensive coordinator, but to think that Joe Brady won't be involved is, I think, a little bit silly.
Tunnel vision up in the booth. You're just focused on what's going on.
Yeah. That's the way I am when I'm up in the booth.
That's me at the buffet.
Hey, Jenna, did you see that?
By the way, should we tell Jenna about the hotel?
What?
Yes. Also, if you see us looking off to the side over here, it's because the laptop is here. So I'm sure there'll be comments are like, why is Dan looking off to the side? It's just to make sure that we're still in the frame.
Yes.
Yes. Jenna, Mike is Platinum Elite.
You've traveled a lot, Marriott.
Yeah, I mean, he used to steal our points, right? So when we were in Denver, you were on like the 17th floor penthouse suite. And 18th. I was the peasant, 18th floor. And I was the peasant on like the third floor.
Third.
Okay. So we check into our hotel yesterday.
Smaller hotel.
Yes. We're walking everywhere, hence the blister. And I get 4th floor. Mike gets 2nd floor. And there was a moment of like, how you like them apples, old man? I'll let you off the elevator first. Then what happens, Mike?
I'm on the 5th floor. I just went down very nicely, asked the gentleman behind the desk. He's like, thank you for your Platinum Elite status.
Yeah, you get like a snack when you walk in.
Oh,
yeah, we got a snack. It was good too.
People in the Midwest are very kind.
Very nice.
People behind the desk, they're going, oh, because of your status, you either usually get points or a gift. And they go, but we're going to give you both because why not? And they give us a paper bag. And inside the paper bag, sun chips and a bottle of water.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
they gave you both.
But Mike, seriously, we came downstairs for dinner and Mike's like holding out his room card. And I'm like, I don't get what you're saying. And it's like 512.
5th floor.
Yeah, 5th floor. Like this is where we're at now. And I'm like, you would be the guy to be like, second floor totally is not my level.
Yeah. So when we go up the elevator, Dan gets off first.
Oh my God. Dan, you thought you had him too.
I thought I had him.
He did too.
And then Mike just pulls the big dog move of I need to be above Dan.
That doesn't shock me at all. Does not shock me at all. Okay. Anything else you want to touch on from Brady before we get into I was about to say Jim Beane, just because I'm looking at Jim Leonhard.
That's funny.
That's for later tonight, I imagine. Anything from the podium, though? I did think when he was asked about like having conversations with players about how he respects the past, but this is year 1 of the organization. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I think that's the proper way to look at it. I think Joe has said enough times about his respect for what's happened. He's thanked Sean McDermott. If you're Joe Brady, you've done that. You just move on.
Yep.
And he is the head coach now. So I'm with you. I like that answer, and I thought it was appropriate for what he's facing now.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's get into Brandon Beane. Dan, you had the interview with Joe Brady. Michael, you had the interview with Brandon Beane.
So let's start with this. At the podium, regular questions like Dan was saying. People were asking about some of the people he interviewed. It was reporters from Jacksonville and Denver. All that was fine. And everybody from Buffalo, kind of Western New York, stayed out of it. And then a gentleman stood up and he said, the question that he heard a few weeks ago was, why could Why would you say Sean McDermott got fired and you still have your job?
And then he vanished.
Yeah.
He was a guy was just
Really?
walking by. He was like, "Why'd Sean get fired and you get promoted?" And he's like, "I'm not really going to talk about
Yeah,
that. We're
he
moving
said-
forward."
And by the way, I
He's
thought
like,
his
"I've addressed
answer
it."
his answer was appropriate. He said, you'd have
Yeah.
to talk to Terry about that. He was asked and answered. I would give him that. But it was kind of something
that's
that,
the combine.
yeah, because people just ask for.
And then he was gone. Like he
Then the
just
guy was
dropped in.
Yeah.
It's just like, why did Sean get fired? Ducked out.
So I
was
did
sort
hear
of
that
a-
question. I was like, ooh. And then I thought the way that Brandon Beane handled it was perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
hey,
for that.
that's a Terry question. We're here. You know,
And he's answered it.
And he's answered it.
that's very fair. That is also
So let's get to the one-on-one. And I got a chance to talk to him. And I asked him about a few different things, including the guy they love to talk about, Keon. Here is my one-on-one with Brandon Beane. All right, Brandon, let's talk about taking big swings. Now, in your time with the Bills, when you took a big swing, Josh Allen, you're talking about bringing in Stephon Diggs, Von Miller, those usually worked out well. I know you're aggressive, but the big swings haven't come as much in recent years. Is that circumstances? Was that a plan? And is that still in you to make that big swing?
Yeah, listen, I'm wired aggressively. If you're around me, you know that's how I play golf. That's how I make decisions. But I try not to be reckless. And some of it can be circumstances. What assets do you have to be aggressive with? Whether that's draft picks, whether that's salary cap. Obviously, when we did Josh, those were draft picks that we, had a plan to acquire a bunch. That we didn't have to, lose a whole draft the following year just to get a quarterback. When we acquired Steph, that was draft capital, but it was also we had our cap in good order, and we weren't paying a Josh Allen, the price, the price that we were paying him, and Vaughn, was a swing as well. And I think there's been others, but ultimately all those things have to line up and make sense. I don't want to do something that we look back in 3 or 4 years ago, man, that was a reckless decision.
You've talked about a championship roster and what you felt with this team, but you're building it again right now. What makes a championship roster to you? What is it? Is it, you start with Josh Allen, but what is it with a championship roster?
Yeah, I think it obviously starts with a franchise quarterback, and so you try to build the pieces around it. Are you protecting them? Are you have a balanced offense? And then can you affect the quarterback? There's different ways to affect the quarterback. That's blitzing, that's rushing with just 4, that's the pieces you have in the back end that are guarding receivers. All that stuff can affect the opposing quarterback. And so a championship roster, does your roster allow you, is it good enough to get in the playoffs? And then is it good enough to win playoff games? And so when you look back every year, do you say, hey, that team had enough talent? We didn't, there's multiple teams every year that have the talent to win it, but only one can actually win it. And so you want to make sure you have the right team, the right components, and also that they have the right mentality to win those close games, win over the top, whatever it is. Those are, our games, most of these postseasons have been decided by a player or two here or there.
You've been supportive of Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
He's in year number 3. And I know you talk about, some of the offseason stuff has been frustrating. Has he tested your patience at all? And what makes you feel so confident that he can overcome these things now going into year number 3?
Because Keon, deep down, is a very good young man. He's conscientious. He doesn't get in trouble. He cares about ball. He cares about his teammates. Like, there's not a guy who thinks he's better or above doing those things. It's just we all grow up in different phases at different times, and I know we could probably look at ourselves and say, man, I probably could have handled that better or done that, in my 20s or 30s, whatever it is. And I think it's on all of us to continue to support him, and I think that's the best way to get the most out of most people, and we're going to continue to do that. He obviously has to do his part, but we're confident that he'll attack this offseason the way he did last year, and we'll kind of go from there.
Last thing, you had a lot of changes in this offseason, but now it's a first-time head coach and a first-time defensive coordinator. Has your role changed at all? Is there more authority, more responsibility? Do you feel it's different than what it's been with Sean in these past few years?
No, listen, we're all just going to roll our sleeves up and do our jobs, and that's Joe and I collaborating, working together, communicating, and kind of, delegating tasks to different people, whether it's scouts, whether it's coaches, whether it's your strength staff, your trainer, whatever it is. We're going to work together. We're going to put our heads together and try and build the right program, bring the right pieces in, get them developed, whether that's rookies, whether that's second-year players, and we're 0-0. We start over. So this is the 2026 iteration is going to be a new version of the Buffalo Bills, and we got to make sure that when we come out of training camp that we have a team that we feel confident can be a contender, and that's what you're looking for.
All right, thanks, Brandon Beane. I know he talks about being aggressive, but, who am I to push back on his answer? But when he said, I've been aggressive, not at the level he was in the first few years. And I do understand for a team that's been in the position they've been in, it's a little harder to do that.
It's the risk to reward.
Yeah.
When you're at the top, why would you risk more? Or some people may say, if you're that close, why not risk it? I see both sides, but I thought his answer was saying, we have taken swings. If you consider Josh Palmer a swing, if you consider Joey Bosa a swing, they didn't land as much, and those seem like smaller swings in I think in all of our impressions compared to Vaughn and Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
But Jenna, when I asked him about Keon, he did not really answer when I said, has he made you lose your patience? Because I don't know really what he's going to say to that. But come on, he has to have done that. And the amount of time they have spent talking about that player, I joked and said, we talk about him more than we talk about Josh Allen. I know we know what Josh Allen is, but it was very little Josh Allen talk today.
Correct. And he was also asked, the reason I think you brought it up, obviously in the one-on-one, was because he was asked about it at the podium about what you need to see more or what you need to see out of Keon this offseason into next year. Because, look,
he's talking about the maturity thing. And shouldn't we be past that? Guy's going into year 3 in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
something you talk about with the rookie, and that not a guy that's going into his third year. I don't want to hear anymore that he's young. I don't want to hear, and Mike has always said it, right, Jenna? It does not. Josh doesn't care about your age when he's deciding to throw you the football.
Mm-hmm. But he does care if he can trust you, which he has shown, Keon has, through his actions, that he's not been reliable enough on the field and off the field, you could say.
Right. And so we put the whole answer from the podium. I tweeted it out. It's going to be on Shorts and on Instagram. It'll be up on TikTok. It'll be up on YouTube as a short. So all those places, if you want to see, it's about a minute and 20 seconds, his full answer. Because he also talks about, at training camp, he was great. He showed all the things, phase 1, phase 2, and he had that great game against Baltimore in week 1. It's, can you build off that? Because he said, the fact is that you don't want those off the field issues. Being said, I've been around the league for 28 years. I've seen those affect players' ability to grow on the field and help, he said, their wealth as well. That's Keon's, second contracts are massive. That's what James Cook wanted.
Forget about second contracts. Jenna, what do you always say about saying and doing?
Don't listen to what they say. What do I say? I don't even know.
Well, pay attention to what they do.
Pay attention to what they do.
Yeah. So,
well, that's what I was about to say. Is I'm curious your thoughts and if you think that this is essentially them trying to prop him up once again, or do you think that they are actively all right, maybe this isn't going to work, or is it them trying to get the good praise out there that other people will be like, you know what, maybe we will take a swing at a guy at Keon Coleman?
I don't think any of it would impact trade value. At this point, somebody has taken a shot at the guy because you're going to admit, if you want to trade him, that he's failed going into year 3. I think it's more of them saying, we tried to be tough on him last year and it didn't work. Now we're going to be nice to him and see if it works. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. It is wild to think that when you have Josh Allen, the player that's being talked about the most, and even at the
owner.
I was going to say, even at Terry Bagula and Brandon Beane's press conference before, it was Josh Allen and Keon Coleman. Yeah. Some other notes from today, talking to Brandon Beane, talking on One Bills Live, he did say that it's not an if, it's a when they pick up Dalton Kincaid's 5th year. And then they did restructure Spencer Brown. So his contract saved about $10.4 million against the cap. Dan, isn't that wild?
Poof. That's wild.
Cap room.
Brandon was even talking about it's what you can do, what they're going to do to get more money to spend in free agency because poof, $10 million. They're going to hit the piggy bank for Josh Allen's contract. Poof, they're going to have $20 more million. They're going to hit it on somebody else and go poof.
And the cap's going to go up this year.
And next year and the following year. Did you freeze, Jenna?
I figured you would say something. Yeah, you're still there. I kind of let you cook, and then I kind of just wanted to make you guys feel uncomfortable.
I've cooked enough. I don't want to burn it. I've hit that enough.
Anything else?
It is going to be an interesting dynamic this year to see how everything goes because it is a little different. I think Joe, I will say this to wrap up those two interviews. I think Joe is pretty comfortable in his role. Again, he's not coaching yet, but this is a little different. You're in front of the, national reporters and he's doing all the other things. I think he will show well for the public, for Bills fans and everybody else. I think he's done a good job.
I agree. And he kind of a little bit reminds me of Dable in the sense of very buttoned up at his Monday press conferences. You didn't really get a lot, but you see the personality more when you're just talking to him.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we fell in love with Dable was because he was one way in front of the cameras, which was very polished, close to the vest.
Well, let's be honest. You fell in love. We like Dable a lot.
Yeah. But then again, I think that you've heard about Joe Brady's, like I joked around about the energy drinks. Like I think he brings a lot of energy and juice into that building. But it may not be always seen in front of the camera because I think he's a little bit more reserved, or at least he has been as the offensive coordinator, which is, I think, what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to push back. I feel like Joe Brady, to me, which this makes sense. I think he's pretty up. No, I don't want to say up front, but I think that he's just nervous in front of the camera, which is fine. I'm not saying that's surprising. Oh, I do. I get like a little antsy. Maybe it's because of the energy drinks, honestly.
Could be. He said he was going to crush some more later tonight, and he had already had it. He was already a quote few in.
Yeah, and this is his first NFL combine as the Bills head coach. Like, I think there's understandably nerves involved, but to me, I feel like he's still finding his footing, which makes sense because this is a new chapter for him. Mike, we talked yesterday about the tone. We wanted to hear things we were expecting in terms of Beane. What did you make of his tone today?
I thought it was very similar Beane. I didn't really notice anything different. He didn't seem any different to me than last year when I talked to him here in this setting. And like they fell short again. And I think he knows that, obviously. I asked him about, and you heard in the interview, about him having more responsibility and maybe more authority. They always push back about that. I don't believe that. I think he does now. I mean, now the coach reports to him. So it's just a different setup. But in terms of his public demeanor, and he was popular around all the interviews, I didn't notice any difference at all from him. I think now it's a month past all that happening. Mm-hmm. I think he seemed pretty much like Brandon Beane.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Any other notes from today?
We talked to two people today that'll be part of our podcast going forward. One is Zach Berman. He writes for The Athletic, covers the Eagles in Philly. And the reason we talked to him was about A.J. Brown. And in fact, I think we'll probably use this interview tomorrow in the podcast. Yep. Zach was great. And if you think you know everything about A.J. Brown, I think he gave a very enlightened perspective on A.J. Brown.
I think we see a lot from the 30,000 feet. He's been with A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Covered him and things like that. Yeah. So I think where maybe as you only see the snippets on social media or one thing or one quote from A.J. Brown, I think he provided a lot more insight that at least, again, Philly guy, not really following the Eagles like that. It was interesting to see and kind of fascinating to hear him talk about A.J. Brown's mentality, the respect that he has in the locker room. This is what we call a teaser in the biz.
Yeah.
This will all be there tomorrow.
But it's not all positive. I mean, there are things, and there were issues this year, and how that played out in Philly. And I know Nick Sirianni had said there's no guarantee that he's going to be on the roster. So it could be in play, and gave a perspective on the league. So that was good. And we also talked to Sam Monson, who has his own podcast, covers the league, and had interesting things to say about the perception of what the Bills did, how Brandon Beane will deal with it, how he'll deal with the criticism from his side, his perspective. So that's another interview that we're going to have this week on the podcast.
Yeah, he didn't hold back. Does not hold back, Sam Monson. So that was a really good interview as well.
Okay,
We'll
I'm
hopefully talk
interested.
to Matt Harmon,
Who's right behind us.
Right behind us. Yahoo, the great backdrop. As well as
Yahoo. What is that called? An anagram?
Yes.
Buffalo Plus backwards.
Yes.
As well as hope to catch up with Mike Reese, as well as some other people. And then obviously tomorrow we start hearing from the players. So we will hear from defensive linemen and tight ends, I believe.
Linebackers.
D-line and
I think
linebackers.
it's D-line, linebackers, and kickers. Place kickers.
3 areas of need.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
possibly.
Areas. Yes.
Certainly the first 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We'll have plenty more coverage from Indy as Mike and Dan holding down the fort out in Indiana in your matching outfits. What are you guys going to wear tomorrow? Do you have it planned out? You going to do a fashion show?
I have my outfit picked out, and I don't think Mike will have it.
Probably not.
Michael, are you going to go hoodie sport coat?
No.
We do look adorable.
You gotta remind me of Step Brothers when they're love you guys, just kidding. All right, again, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
The farts seem kind of weird. now the tuxes seem kind of weird.
For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. Thanks for watching Buffalo Plus.
Buffalo Plus.